What's up, gang? I'm Rayden. Today, I'm going to dig into this question. Why do so many of my Republican and Libertarian friends blame Obama, or Democrats in general, for the COVID-19 outbreak, especially when it happened during Trump's administration? As I dove into debunking this a little bit, I came across a handful of red flags that were enough for me to skeptically entertain this. I need you guys to tell me if you also see these as red flags, or if the whole theory is just crazy and we just throw out the whole thing. First things first, what do we know about the origins of COVID-19? It was first reported as a pneumonia spike in China early December 2019. A little more effort, research, late December 2019 said it was obviously not pneumonia, but was in fact COVID-19. There are two theories as to where COVID-19 came from. One is that it came from someone eating or being bitten by a horseshoe bat in Wuhan, China. The other theory is that it escaped from a lab at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is the only lab in China at the time that was categorized as a level 4 laboratory, meaning it's the only lab in the entire country that is authorized to work with such contagious strains of viruses. The majority of sources, particularly mainstream media sources, say that the first is the correct theory. Many of the experts in the field adamantly claim that the second theory is the real culprit. Richard H. Ebright is an American molecular biologist. He's the Board of Governors Professor of Chemistry and Chemical Biology at Rutgers University. He is also the laboratory director at the Wuhan Institute of Microbiology. So he's kind of a big deal. Okay. During the early stages of the COVID outbreak, he was asked why he supported the escape theory. Dr. Ebright said, "There currently is zero scientific evidence or forensic evidence, absolutely none, that enables a choice between the natural accident and the laboratory accident scenarios." Later, Jamie Metzel, a foreign policy expert and author of Hacking Darwin, said, suggesting that an outbreak of a deadly bat coronavirus coincidentally occurred near the only level 4 virology institute in all of China, which happened to be studying the closest known relative of that exact virus, strains credulity. It was saying it doesn't add up. Now, the closest known relative to which Metzel is referring is a virus known as RATG13, or RATG. A coronavirus sampled from horseshoe bats in China's Yunnan province. Now, RATG bears 96.2% overall genetic sequence identity to SARS-CoV, COVID-2, aka COVID-19, across 29,000 bases of the coronavirus genome. The former head of MI6, the UK equivalent of the CIA, meaning this man would be James Bond's boss. His name is Richard Dearlove. He said it's an engineered escapee from the Wuhan Institute. Well, what does that mean? What does it really matter if it came from a bat or if it accidentally escaped from a lab? Now, an article by the Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology News said, virus evolution experts have stated that the sequence divergence between the two viruses represents an evolutionary distance of at least 20 years. Joseph Petrosino, PhD, he's a metagenomics expert at Baylor College of Medicine. He said the observation that the RATG backbone component is still many mutations away from the current COVID-19 suggests other intermediates likely exist. Meaning, if it came out of the lab and not from someone eating or being eaten by a bat, then it was altered before it escaped. Somebody intentionally mutated it. But wait, you say, what does this have to do with the Democratic Party or with Obama? I will show you.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. In order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, so that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment.
Obama said, if and when, quote, and when the outbreak happens. Now, my initial reaction was, it makes sense that he wants more funding for this, since he dealt with the whole Ebola strain and everything during his term. But look closely again.
5 years from now or a decade from now,
Obama said an outbreak would happen in 5 years or 10 years. Now, when did he say that? December 2nd, 2014. When did COVID-19 strike? December 2019. Exactly 5 years from the date that Obama said when a new strain crops up 5 years from now. Now, why is this scary and not just a crazy coincidence? What are the odds that it's coincidence? Either he's a prophet, which, don't get me wrong, the guy's got a ton of talents, but I'm throwing out prophet. Or it implies that he had prior knowledge of this. Now think about the timeline he gave, okay? The world was sure that Hillary Clinton would win the election in 2016. Polls said she had a 90% chance of victory, which as far as I'm aware is the highest in U.S. history. That means 5 years from when Obama said this outbreak would happen would be exactly as Hillary is preparing to leave the White House if she served one term, making it 2020. And 10 years would be exactly as Hillary is preparing to leave the White House if she served 2 terms, 2024. Remember, Obama said this in 2014. If the timing was deliberate and not just happenstance, the implication is that Obama was saying that a viral outbreak would happen just before the next Republican is entering office. Now, I'm still skeptical. The odds of coincidence are sparse. What are the odds that it lines up to the exact week 5 years from the day? But surely that's higher odds than President Obama colluding with China. So I asked myself, how do I prove it's coincidence and not Obama conspiring with China? The answer is to follow the money. Attempting to follow the money, I found a handful of oddities. First, the Wuhan Institute of Virology was funded by a $3.7 million grant from the United States. That was signed off on during the Obama administration. Now, disclaimer here, just because something happened during his administration does not mean he is personally responsible. There's a lot of things that happen while somebody's president that he didn't personally sign off on. Of the $3.7 million grant, $3 million was dispersed during the Obama administration. $700,000 was dispersed during the Trump administration. Disclaimer number 2, right? Snopes has confirmed that this is true, that the Virology Institute was funded by this $3.7 million grant. They also revealed that this funded multiple projects. It wasn't just going to this one institute. However, they were not able to tell us how much went to the Wuhan Institute versus other projects. It's just a little odd that the institute where this virus would have escaped from was funded by the United States of America, and it happened to escape the same week, month, year that Obama said it would. And next, I found this public lecture by a famous Chinese academic who is also a member of the Chinese Communist Party, also known as the CCP. It was given shortly after the elections in November 2020. In it, the guy explains why China hates President Trump.
前边特朗普政府跟我们打贸易战，那么我们为什么搞不定特朗普政府？这儿我抛出一个可能又要是暴论了，就是因为咱们上边有人，就是我们在美国的权势核心圈我们有我们的天下没有美元搞不定事情，是吧？如果一打美元搞不定，是吧？那我就，亮他了。这个，当然这是我的工作方式。好，那么其实呢，就是说说的白了点其实呢，就过去这个30年过去40年，我们在美国的它的这个利用它权势核心圈，是不是？我前面讲过，华尔街在1970年代开始对美国 他的内政外交有非常强的影响力啊，所以我们有路径依赖，是吧？但问题是08年之后华尔街的地位下降了，更重要的是16年之后，华尔街搞不定特朗普。中美贸易战过程中，他们也试图帮忙啊。据我所知，美方的朋友跟我讲，这个试图帮忙，但是啊力有不逮啊。但现在呢，现在我们看到拜登上台了，传统的精英、政治精英啊，这个建制派，他们跟华尔街的关系是非常密切的。所以大家看到吧，拜登的儿子被特朗普说你在全球有什么基金公司，发现没有？谁帮他建的基金公司啊？明白吗？这里边都有买卖啊。那么，所以这个时候我们以恰当的方式进行一定的这样。
They claimed that they hated Trump because they could not influence him via Wall Street, aka money, as they could the last 30 to 40 years of presidents and politicians. Now that's a hell of a claim. So let's fact check some of this man's claims. All right. 1, China hated Trump because they could not buy favors from him. Again, follow the money. Trump's net worth going into office 2016 was $3.7 billion. Not million, billion with a B.
$100 billion.
Also, he has donated his $400,000 a year salary every year, becoming the 4th president of the United States to do so. George Washington, Herbert Hoover, John F. Kennedy, and now Donald Trump. According to CNN, his reported net worth leaving office was $2.5 billion. Now, when CNN asked him about that, he said, whether I lost $2 billion, $5 billion, or less, it doesn't make any difference. I don't care. I'm doing this for the country. I'm doing it for the people. Now, I have qualms about the man, for sure. But I believe that there's good and bad in everybody. None of us are 100% evil or 100% good. We all make good choices. We all make bad choices. And I respect that despite his flaws, he put his money where his mouth was. Meaning he really believed that everything he was doing was done to make America great again. Whether you agree with his policies or not, I can't really call him a fraud. And you gotta kind of tip your hat to that. This speaker's first claim seems validated. Okay, Trump never sold out. There's an old saying, if you really want to know what a man is and what he believes, do not go to his enemies. His enemies will misrepresent him. Go to the man himself or go to his friends. Now, the next claim that this speaker made is that he specifically mentions Barack Obama.
他们也试图帮忙啊。据我所知，美方的朋友跟我讲，这个试图帮忙
and Joe Biden.
但现在呢？现在我们看到
拜登上台了
as old friends with political power whom China could buy favors from, whom they could influence via Wall Street. Now that was like a punch to the gut. Okay? That's such a huge accusation. So I did a little more digging. I started looking into what information on Obama's personal finance I could find via public record. Obviously, I don't have access to the guy's tax returns. Okay? But according to CNN Money, the Obamas entered the White House in 2008 with a net worth of $1.3 million. So my boy did pretty good for himself before entering the White House. But when they left the White House in 2016, they had a net worth of $40 million. But hold up. He and Michelle both wrote books. Now, I've tried to write books. I've written 3 books now. And it's hard. Okay, it's really hard. So kudos to them. I don't know how you possibly managed to write a book with the hundreds, sometimes thousands of hours to write a book while simultaneously running the White House.
It's actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
So let's say they don't spend a dime of his $400,000 a year salary for 8 years. That's $3.2 million. Plus the possibly as high as $20 million from books. That's That's a stretch. It's not likely they made that much, but let's give it to them, okay? That's $23.2 million on top of their $1.3, bringing the grand total to $24.5 million. Let's also give them the benefit of the doubt, say that they are super savvy investors, and they made another $5 million investing. That still leaves at least $10 million unaccounted for. Then I thought, well, maybe I'm just missing some income. I mean, again, this is all just public record. I can't look at their tax returns. But then I found this. Barack and Michelle released their tax return for 2015. They filed jointly, and they reported earning $436,065. That means either Barack and Michelle's increase from $1.3 million to $40 million happened after 2015, so just in the year 2016, or they've been paying taxes on $436,065 when they were averaging $4,750,000. Now I'm starting to question things. The next thought that entered my mind is maybe this Chinese guy is just making up the whole thing. But I gotta ask, what would be the motive for doing that? Why would he knowingly, in front of the world, make up a story that makes China look corrupt? Like they're trying to bribe U.S. presidents, when he could literally be put to death for that story. Now you gotta remember, China is a communist country. There are 46 crimes in China punishable by death. Number 1 is treason. Doing something that jeopardizes the safety and success of your country. Now, number 2 in China is called separatism. Now, if you're anything like me, you had to just look that up. But I will tell you before you do. Okay, separatism is defined as the advocacy of cultural, ethnic, tribal, religious, racial, governmental, or gender separation from the larger group. Meaning, separating yourself from China's interests and China's goals is the number 2 thing that they will kill you for over there. I set out to disprove this silly concept, but the research shows mind-blowing things. The coronavirus was 20 years away from mutating naturally from rat G to COVID-19, suggesting something was intentionally done to speed up this process. The only lab in all of China capable of doing these types of modifications is where the virus, COVID-19, escaped from. And that lab was funded by a U.S. grant during the Obama administration. Obama warned that a virus would hit December 2023 or December 2019. Then a virus hits December 2019. After that, China says they wanted Trump out of office because they have not been able to influence him as they have the past 30 to 40 years of presidents and politicians. They could not bribe the man because he already had so many of his own billions. They specifically mention Obama by name as a friend that could be influenced by money to do them favors. And Obama's net worth seems to support that accusation. They also specifically name Joe Biden, saying that they, China, have helped with the transactions that provided the Biden family all of their wealth. And that they, China, now once again are in a position to call in favors from the President of the United States of America. I will tell you guys, I'm personally still just a little bit skeptical. This still seems like, I just don't want to believe that any president, regardless of party, would go to such extremes just for power and money. It's been done before, I'm sure, but I don't really want to believe it. I'm hoping that it's more likely that they just don't want to admit what happened because it would be very embarrassing to admit that the virus that has caused a global pandemic escaped from a lab that is funded and built by the 2 most powerful countries in the world, the United States and China. Not only would it be embarrassing, it would be extremely expensive. To admit accountability and responsibility falls on China and America. I am, however, very concerned that politicians, regardless of party, are becoming millionaires while they are in office, and that China claims to be buying off every president from the 1980s, with the exception of Trump.
天下没有美元搞不定的事情，是吧？如果一打美元搞不定，是吧？那我就，亮他了。
That's very concerning. I think it's super wrong for a politician to become a millionaire while he's in office. That, gang, is at least in part while so many people blame Obama and or the Democrats for the COVID pandemic.
Thanks, Obama.
If you guys think I missed anything, if you've got more to add to these theories or corrections, let me know in the comments, courteously, please. And let me know what question you guys want me to answer next. Metagenome. Metagenomic. Metagenom. Metagenomoly. Metagen.
Metagenomics.
Metagenomics. Let's dig into it. Dude, I don't know. You guys get this? Is this digging? Everybody get that that's digging? Okay.